appreciative of everyone here. There's a number of people from me in this room that have helped me personally get to where I am, and I think everyone could probably say that, which makes our group so special. But there might only be one person in this room that can say that they've helped everybody in this room one way or another in this industry. And we are very, very lucky to have him here today to talk to us, Mr. Dale Jeffrey.
Oh, holy moly. Well, it's good to see everybody. It's good to be here. It was a hell of a trip. I don't get around very good anymore. I gotta have a good-looking girl like Deidre wheel me around the damn wheelchair. Fake it till you make it, huh? Anyway, what a nice group of people. And I want to honor all of you for your journey. The staff of this organization, all the work that they do. Wayne, you're doing a good job as president wherever you are. And your staff. Takes a lot of work to do these things, and it's appreciated by everyone. And everyone, I appreciate everyone being here. Your journey, you know, to get here, it's not easy for everybody. It's you have to take time to do it. Takes money to do it, money and time and good intent. So, can you hear me in the back okay? That's okay? Yeah, good. Yeah, half the time I can't hear from back there myself. But anyway, horses. Horses, horses, horses. That's been pretty much my life, and that's your life too. Everybody that's here, you're here because you love horses, and they mean a lot to you, and they mean a lot to a lot of people. People love horses, and anyway. When I started in this industry, well, there wasn't much going on. There weren't any instruments to use. Guys, we used everything from lopers to hammers and screwdrivers and chisels. And it was terrible. Today, well, we got a whole better ball game. So anyway, it's been quite a journey. Kitchen to the garage and on and on. I got some questions for you here in a minute, but a few years ago, 10 years or more ago, I found a word called equine nathology. And what the hell is equine nathology? What's it mean? Nathology is form and function of teeth. You know, it's how they work. And form and function. Most of your money you make, well, unless you're a veterinarian, but quite a few dentists pull teeth, extract teeth, work with vets, work in clinics, but around the world, most of our living, we make equilibrating teeth, prophylaxis, and maintenance of teeth. Equilibration of the mouths, equilibrating teeth. So that's kind of how we make most of our living. Probably 90% of it or more is day in and day out, taking off parts of teeth that should have worn off normally. parts of the teeth that are long or excessive for the most part. It's not always the case, because we get into a lot of complicated stuff too, but generally speaking, well, we make most of our money maintaining mouths, maintaining these horses for nutrition and performance. So the horses eat better, do better, go better, ride better, perform better. And those are anathological procedures. You're usually taking off areas of teeth that should have worn off normally. So I like that word quite a bit, anathology. And I've been out of the Academy of Equine Dentistry for about 15 years, but I have a private school in Idaho and still teaching. We have been anyway, trying to stay in business and help people. We run pretty small classes up there. But the academy's in the same town, Glens Ferry, where I live. Anyway, I threw a few slides together here just briefly. This is our museum building and one of our classrooms, museum, gift shop. And we've got this old dental wagon in there with, these are some entry doors to the north of the museum coming in that we built. And we got a few wagons and carriages in there. And here's just some shots. We got a skull library in there and another skull library up at the school. I've cooked out about 1,200 skulls in 45 years. Ian Wharton's here, and hell, Ian's been in on some of them skull boiling classes. See, we went to the packing house, get 125 skulls, and cook them out, see what's going on. But those are some of the speculums hanging on the wall there. It's kind of blurry. I didn't get the best picture, but it gives you the idea. There's probably 50 to 75 speculums there. A lot of things donated by a lot of people from all over the world. Dentist practitioners, Rauscher, and on and on. A lot of different dentists that donated things and sent things out. And so we got quite a little setup going. We got about 3,000 square feet in there. Here's another wall, and there's a bunch of bits. Well, those are stirrups, and then there's hand pieces going down there, or hand floats going down through there, and the vet wagon at the other end. Let me get to going there. Yeah, another shot of one of the sides of the room. We got a skull in there we just got out of my gravel pit. It's a maxillae off a horse with all the teeth. We've got a lot of fossils in there and things like that. This one thing I want to talk to you a minute about is you guys are you all start somewhere and you end up somewhere. But there's some of my early mentors were, a couple of them were Bo Haynes and Arnold Rojas. He was written up in Western Horseman, but he was a vaquero out of California. Float horses, non-sedated. Bo Haynes, he floated teeth till I think he was in his 90s. He's an Australian guy, little short guy. But he's he was a hell of a hand. I started off working with him in California. He's working out at Los Alamitas. But he worked a lot of track horses, but a lot of these guys never used sedation, all hand floats, and they worked hard at it. There's a guy by the name of Roy Caldwell there at Santa Anita, and Roy, he had the neatest deal that I've seen of any dentist. He charged charged $60 a month per horse, whether they did anything or not, like the water bill. So you might think about that. I mean, hell, he's making more damn money than anybody, you know, and they just touch them up a couple of weeks before they run or a week before, make sure the caps and, you know, everything was out of there and teeth were right, bed seats were right. Did a hell of a job. Look at his equipment. He had 2 or 3 rusty old dick floats in the F-dick floats in the trunk, or house floats, I mean, with F-dick blades out of Germany, little file blades, rusted up. You wouldn't think you could rub a teeth with them, but he did. And they're young horses, soft teeth, and they go pretty good. Them race horses, young horses, not very hard to work. But Bo was one of kind of my early mentors, and I've had a lot of good mentors throughout my life. I'm grateful for that. But in the museum, one thing I'd like to do is have an honor roll for dentists. You know, I think historically we need to remember the people that have come before us and honor them some way. If we had a book with information on them, that's something all of you could help with. You probably know somebody, you know, Ed Gager was a dentist on the East Coast, and there's all kinds of people, you know, John Causey and shit. There's a bunch of them that are dead. A lot of different good dentists are dead. So if you know somebody that you put some information together on them and get it to me, we'll get a book, an honor roll book going for dentistry. And it's pretty hard to knock this industry if you have good history. You set good examples. So when you think about the old story about the chain, you know, it's not any stronger than the weakest link, you know. So all of your links in that chain, we're all part of the same thing. One, to help horses, do good things for horses. And we need to honor those that come before us. And if we do that, well, that'll give us strength as an industry. So it wouldn't hurt this association to do something a little different too and greater. Maybe have a Hall of Fame or something, you know. But anyway, you build a good foundation, you have a good base, which this organization has. Well, you can build pretty high. You know, you can go pretty high with a good foundation. So, and all of you are part of that. But it takes committed people, and a lot of times too few end up doing too much work or all the work. People like Marilyn and Doug and on, you know, and a lot of people work for the organization and bust their butts and don't get many thank yous. So, and also, it's not just the dentist. You know, we have our institutions and instructors, and what else I got on there? Instrument makers, and then we have individuals and people that want to support us and help us, and they would like to, and sometimes they just need to be asked, you know. You know, there might be some fat lady sitting somewhere with a few million extra, want to help you out. I always talk about God being the fat lady, because I don't know what God looks like, but most think, you know, God's a him, you know, or he, but I'm not sure about that. I think the women are really in charge. So anyway, I call God the fat lady. This is the back of the museum. That's the building I built out there where I teach out of. And we got classrooms and working stalls in there. That's a factory building where we build the instruments. Uh, what I say in there? Equinethology, balance the range of motion. Okay, that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today. Balance the range of motion. And the definition of nethology is mostly form and function. Five pairs of nathological determinants. A lot of people look at, they want 3-point balance in a horse. TMJ, molars, incisors. And sometimes we forget we got two sides to this picture. So you got two TMJ, two joints, sets of joints. You got two sets of cheek teeth, and you got a pair of incisors, set of incisors. None of those things are mirror images of the other. The TMJ joint, the fossa, the pocket that the condyle sits in, the fossa doesn't look like the condyle. That's a compound joint. It's more complicated than that. That compound joint has what's called an articular eminence or malleolus or articular tubercle, but it's a ridge that runs across it, and that's what helps make things work. So anyway, condyle don't look like the fossa it sits in. Your upper cheek teeth are wider than your lower cheek teeth. They're a little more curved than the lower teeth. Your upper incisors are stronger and bigger, and usually you do more work on them than the lowers. They're a little more powerful. Horses are rearward grazers. They're always cutting back. Not cows go forward, horses go back. So upper teeth can take more abuse and more abrasion than lower incisors. Planes of the cheek teeth. This isn't a very good diagram. I worked hard to build it, but we want functional biomechanical planes of occlusion of the cheek teeth. A lot of horses, they'll have parallel matching biomechanical planes, but they're like the Teton Mountains. They don't function worth their flip. You know, you might have back hooks, back ramps, front hooks, waves, rims, problems, steppy teeth, all kinds of things in the back, but it's pretty non-functional. So your job is to get that functioning better. And I think everybody here is pretty good at that. You're pretty well trained in that, so to speak. So we're trying to create functional planes back there. Oh, a little skull orientation. Let me go back to that just a second. What do I say there on the bottom there?
Mandibular paths of motion can be described in 9 motions as rostral, caudal, ventral, lateral, dorsal, medial, pitch, yaw, and roll.
Well, that's just some of the biomechanics. We're working with living mechanics here. These horses, you know, I mean, it's a wondrous thing we get to do. You know, it's not like a car mechanic, because that car don't have a mind, you know, or any other kind of mechanics, you know, people do nowadays, but we're working with living mechanics. This, let me find my pointer here. One of these. This one, I think, yeah. It's hard to, you can't see the articular eminence right here, but it runs right across that fossa there. And your condyle sets in that. Those are your meniscus pads. And your articular eminence is right across those fossas. Here's a little bit from human dentistry. It's called pitch, yaw, and roll. As the mandible moves and chewing, one side engages in the pocket in the fossa, and the other one travels farther So the engaged side goes around and around, and it's not a little bit oval, but not much. But the far side, if it's chewing on this side, it's engaged. This side disengages, comes into the articular eminence, disengages. So they're set up to grind their teeth, and then the thickness of your meniscus pads have a lot to do with their occlusion. Young horses have good pads. But anyway, the pitch is the tipping of the mandible in the chewing process, and it twists on called yaw, and roll is down the middle. So that thing's helping to work the food back through the mouth and what we call axial flow of the food. Okay. So now we're getting to the beat up time for the International Association. I'm going to pick on these guys a little bit. The rules are to set the inside of the table angle to the TMJ joint. That's what they shoot for. Now, if I'm wrong about that, somebody tell me. Is that correct? Is that what's asked for? Am I right or not? Before I go there, though, I want to back up just 1 minute. How many of you here hand float horses at all? We got a dozen or so, yeah, 10% or so, 10, 15% hand float. So how many power and hand float? So a few more, yeah, okay. Mostly though, probably running power. How many of you feed a horse before you work on the teeth? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Few, half a dozen, maybe 6. Well, what the hell are we doing? Why don't you feed them? The biggest, what I hear from most people, I ain't got time for that. Well, why don't you take time for it? Learn how they chew and how they eat. I mean, what the hell's your business about? It's about performance. So, you know, we might look at the manure in the trailer, see if it's chewed up. But why don't you feed a horse, palpate those TMJ joints, listen, look, you know, use all your senses, see what the hell that horse is doing. How's he eating? That might be pretty screwed up. And then maybe after your dentistry, if you're doing non-sedated horses, hell, you can feed him, and when you get done with the teeth, feed him again. If you got a sedated horse, you might have to wait a little while for him to come out of sedation to feed him, but that's okay. So get yourself some macaroni, put it in your pocket or something, poppycock or something, or some, you know, or a little bag of sweet feed, or just graze him. How are they grazing, you know? Are they spitting out balls of hay? What the hell are they doing? These horses have a lot to tell us, and I think too many times we just get focused on the teeth, and we think we know everything about them, and we know what's right or wrong for every horse. And boom, okay, I can fix that, or I'll do this or that. But they have a lot of information to share with you. If I go to the doctor, you know, and he don't... I hate it when they don't talk to me. So why don't you talk to these horses a little bit? You know, spend some time with them. Charge a little more if you need to. But spend some time and see what they got to tell you, you know. They have a lot to tell you. They have a lot of information to give you. You want to be thorough about your examinations and really look, you know, get some detail from that horse. Okay? Then, so we're about nutrition, we're about performance. We want these horses to perform. They got to do something. They got a job to do. People are hiring you to fix these horses up so they can do their job. Chris Edmonds talking to you about bits. Oh, I ain't got time to learn about bits. I don't want to. Well, you don't have to know a damn thing about a bit to ask an owner. You got your bit and bridle? Yeah. Well, put it on for me. Well, I put it on. You don't have to know nothing. You got a brain on your head, you know. You just look and say, oh, well, that don't look right. That's too tight. This is not, you know, that don't look like it'll work. You might learn one thing off that guy. Next guy, you might learn another thing, or gal. I was at Needham's, and little gal dentist from Australia there, having trouble with her horse, you know, and they're treating for this and that. She's a good dentist, too. And, Dale, would you look at my horse? Yeah, I looked at her horse. Well, you got a, I said, you got a ossified stylohyoid on this side. This horse having some balance issues. Really? Yeah. I said, get your bridles. You got your bridles? Yeah. Get them over here. Bring them over. That's his barrel racer, and you know, pretty good one. Both bits are upside down the bridle. Snaffle bits upside down. I said, well, this ain't gonna work. So, anyway, I could tell you stories all day, but we're not here to hear a lot of stories. You want to learn something. I want to tell you something worthwhile. Okay, so we'll start on the worthwhile stuff. If you're talking TMJ angle to incisors, well, here I did you a couple right triangles, okay? And this one, the bottom one, is 20% shorter than the top one. And if that's a TMJ joint up here above, this one's at 20 degrees, bottom one's at 30 degrees. So you got a shorter headed horse. That's not a static point. It doesn't work with a flip. You got 20. You got 10 degrees difference there. 20 and 30. So that's not going to work in my book. Might work in your book, but it ain't working on mine. Okay. Here's your condyles. You got this is the articular eminence right there. Right there. This one on the left's engaged. You'd be chewing on that side. It's engaged. It sits in that pocket. This one on the opposite side goes ahead into that articular eminence. Disengages that side. Travels further. In performance, they both go ahead into the meniscus or the articular eminence. Both sides go ahead in performance. Okay, there's incisors on the TM to TMJ. That's where you're going to set them by the international guidelines. And around the world they're doing this. Okay, now let's see. Now I got a handout on your table here too, but whoops, I got to go to the next slide here. Okay. Now I just brought that mandible ahead into the articular eminence. Now, if we all agree that they got AP movement of the mandible, an average horse has got about a quarter inch, plus or minus, but around a quarter inch, or for the guys who don't know quarter inches, 6 mils, somewhere 6 millimeters, 7. So that's average AP movement in a horse. And they have to have that for that mandible to work right. And in performance, they have to have it, and in mastication, they have to have it. So I'm going to back up here one. Okay, there he is. That's head up. That's head down. Now, y'all got a handout on your table. And in that handout, you can put your top sheet over the bottom sheet, put the condyle in the deep part of the fossa and put your incisors on there if you want. You can kind of do that. You kind of got to work at it a little bit, but so that's your mandible, head up, mandible back. Okay. Now you're going to move that condyle. I'll go to the next shot. Whoops, I went too many. There. Okay, there it's in the deep part. Now you're going to move it ahead on that ridge, which is your articular eminence right there, and put the ball of that condyle on that articular eminence, and you line up your incisors, and your back teeth are going to be open. So that's head up and head down. Now we're talking about pretty normal horses, symmetrical horses. I don't want to go into, God, we work on all kinds of things, but for the most part, this is how it works. Head up, head down. So if you've got your head up in a hanging halter and you got 90% occlusion, say, or 80 or 90, and say, oh, that's pretty cool. The horse's head's up here in the air, got good occlusion. You laterally skirt him. He lifts pretty early. You might slide 10, 20%. Incisors start to separate. Oh, that's a nice job. We'll put him down halfway and see where it goes. It ain't going to work so good if you use that TMJ angle. Put him down towards the ground, and you were going to lose maybe 40 to 60% of your occlusion with that steep incisor table angle. So what you want is an incisor angle that will allow you to have 80, 90% occlusion with the head up and in the middle and down. You should have the same occlusion through range of motion. Pretty quiet out there. Yeah? Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah. So anyway, that's, I think you guys need a committee put together on this, and okay, head up, head down. And I just picked a couple skulls out. And, but I've got a lot of skulls that are pretty right, and they will have the same occlusion through range of motion, head up and head down. These guys happen to line up these two that are right here, line up pretty good. This is the one you have right there, and there's his head up, and there's his head down with that. That's the handout you have right there. And you see the back teeth open up, so you lose occlusion, head up, head down. Anyway, so next time you're working, try that out. If you got pretty good occlusion here, I'm thinking you're going to have a lot less here and a lot less down here if you're going to the TMJ angle. Now, this guy doesn't have any, we can talk about meniscus pads and stuff, but right here we're just bone on bone, and these pictures are symmetrical. There's not, it's pretty honest, that handout you got. Okay, this one, no, my lines aren't very dark here. I got a lot of lines on this picture, and they're not showing up very good here. But basically, it shows what I'm trying to show in this picture is right here. I got two lines about 10 degrees off of the lower bar, and that's where I'm going to set the incisors, and it's going to give me the right occlusion in all head positions. Martine, I loved her lectures. Well, I loved all the lectures here. You guys are doing a good job. But that Martine, 30 to 60,000 times a day if a horse is chewing, So if he's hitting early, if you leave those incisors too steep, that horse is going to hit early, down low. And what he's going to do, he's going to put more food in his mouth. If you take a bucket of feed, if you feed these horses, he's going to teach you something. Get you some sweet feed. Give that horse, if he never ate any, he might not eat it, but give him something to eat. But most horses know what it is. But anyway, they'll go down in that bucket and they'll fill their mouth up. And they'll put a lot of food in there because they're out of occlusion. Horse out of occlusion will fill his mouth up. Now, he's doing that because he's got to have extra amounts in there to grind it. Now, the next thing he'll do, or may do, he may not fill his mouth so much, but he'll go up here. He'll go up here with his head like this. Mandible goes back on those steep incisors, and he'll chew up here up in the air. And so he'll chew high. So where's he going to ride? He's going to want to ride high because his teeth are going to work up here. He's going to want to ride high, nose up, stargaze, hollow in the back, strung out, bum, bum, bum. Don't work very good. Not as good as, if he can. Because when he brings his head down, the mandible comes into a steep angle. What's it do? Separates the back teeth. You don't like that. You don't want that happening. The range horses that are out on dry grass eating what they should, they're going to be an 80-90% occlusion, some better even, and they will have balance through range of motion. How come our horses don't? Well, we feed them baled hay. They're eating a hay net. They're eating high-headed all the time. They're eating up in the air out of a feeder or something. Or they're not cutting off with their incisors. They're not grazing. So the incisors, 4 or 5 years, you get a real steep incisor table. You may start off pretty good. But a lot of your young racehorses or even your yearlings and 2-year-olds, you'll be surprised if you put the Basico gauge, I'll show you what that is in a minute, if you put that on them, they're going to be too steep. You can change a lot of young horses 20 degrees. Not shorten the life of the teeth at all. We're not talking about cutting off teeth and shortening the life of the teeth. We're talking about putting a correct angle on them, just the same as if you take protuberances off the back teeth. We're talking about adjusting the front teeth to be like they would normally be if they were grazing. So a lot of young horses, 2-year-old race horses, coming 2-year-olds, starting early in that, they got a lot of problems, and they got a lot of occlusion problems, and they colic more than other horses and stuff because they're shedding calves, and they're cutting teeth, and they only got, 4 teeth in there, and that you're working on. They're soft. It don't take a lot to dress up a young horse. You can do that quick, pretty quick, soft teeth. So I like hand floating. I like chip floats on young horses. I like, especially the yearlings, 2-year-olds. They're pretty easy. Some of you work your ass off getting set up to do a young horse. And, geez, there ain't much to, pretty easy to overfloat one. They're already got occlusion problems. You don't want to add to it. So you might just need a little more insights on angle change on those young horses, and it'll help them quite a bit. Let me get to the next deal here. See where we're going. So this is kind of showing a little different deal. What it's showing is protuberant crowns on the upper sixes through as you go back, and this is pretty normal for this horse. He's got high crowns on the lower 11s up and lower in the front, and then he's got taller crowns on the front and the back. But so the yellow line's kind of showing the crown height on the teeth on that horse. And my bite work is going to be a little above that yellow line. I'm going to change that horse about 20 degrees more than that TMJ joint. And this is kind of showing this is opposite this horse. His lower teeth are tall in the front and they're short in the back. And his upper sixes, are short, and his 11s are tall. And that's just the way this sucker's built. This is the way he is. So you don't want to be changing this up too much. But I am going to do some incisor angle changes on the horse to get more occlusion. I'm going to bring the blue line down almost to the red line, about 10 degrees off the red line. Okay, so on incisor work, I want to talk to you a little arc of the incisors. They're in an arc. They're not straight across. They're arced because the arc of the incisors. So you do more work. Usually you're doing wedge-shaped work. You're taking more off of the upper ones at the front, kind of wedge, and a little less on the upper twos at the front, and then a little less on the threes. Because they're not in the same plane. If they were straight across like a board, you'd just change it all the same and drop them down. But they're not straight across. They're arced. So these teeth are back further. The lowers, you don't do so much in the front. You do a little bit at the back of the lowers on ones, a little more on twos at the back, and more on threes at the back. And normally your bite work is more on upper teeth than lower teeth, but not always. Heinbaugh, a veterinary surgeon, 1889, wrote a book on how to do incisor work on horses. And he's a veterinarian surgeon. And he said, if the upper teeth need more off of them, take it off. The lower or taller, take more off the lower, da-da-da. Get till the back teeth work right. But the guy, he did it with nippers and a file. So incisor work is not new in this business. It's a couple hundred years old. And but accurate incisor work, well, I'm not sure about that. We need more of it. And here is, if you don't understand degrees, this helps a little. I've got a new textbook out, about 2 years old. Deidre can hold it up here. And it's a 416-page full color. It's my old book and a new advanced guide put together. But it's got a lot of this stuff in there. But this shows, you just divide a circle into degrees. You got 90 degrees, and you got 45, and you got 22 and a half, and you got 11.25. So your incisor table angle normally should be somewhere less than that, 8 to 10. So it's a little less than that bottom deal there. Then right there. That's about normal incisor table angle on a horse. But what is right for each horse? It's when you have if you're shooting for that 90 here, if that's what you want, or you got 80, you got it up here. If you want it here, you want it here. You check them through that range of motion. And when you got that, now that's if you've done your back work right. If you screwed up the back, well, that ain't going to fix anything. If you float your tables flat, if you don't respect Curva Spee and Curva Wilson and table angles and the normal, what's normal for that horse in the back, you got to respect that and dress it accordingly. You can't just because you want it to be 15 degrees all the way, well, that's bullshit. You just can't put something in your mind and go there because you think it might work. You got to look at the horse. It's all on an individual basis. These Basico gauges are pretty good. The wings on this gauge are bent at 10 degrees. So I'm going to tip that gauge up to that white line, and that's where the plane of that gauge is right here. That's what I'm going to remove off the upper and the lower. And when I remove that, I got pretty good occlusion. They help, but the end all is balanced through the range of motion. Okay, now I want to talk to you a minute about speculums. Can you see the lines on there in the back? Okay. So we put a spec on a horse. Here's our hinge point right here at the back, and there's our spec tooth plates. You open up the mouth. Horses, I hate this because I've been building speculums 45 years. You think I'd figure out a better way? Well, I finally have, but taking a long time. But when these specs are hard, the hinge specs are harder to open, and the tooth plates are never going to fit the incisors right. I don't care if you angle them, set them. When you change the positions and open them up, they're not going to fit the tables. They don't fit the tables. So you got excessive pressure on the edges of the teeth. Pressure, there's good pressure on teeth, even pressure across teeth that we shoot for in all our batteries in our front teeth. But there's bad pressure, In the skulls, I see a lot of cheek teeth shifted to the outside, all kinds of bony changes in old horses because of excessive pressure. You can have permanent bony change in horses with excessive pressure. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a long period of time, the bony changes. So anyway, this is a bad thing there about our equipment. But how many of us ever ask, Trigger, you like this speculum? We don't ask the right questions all the time, We're shooting for comfort, and we're trying to create comfort for these horses, better dentition, performance. We're going to put some bits in there. What do we got in the mouth? We got hard teeth. And then what we're going to put in there next, piece of iron, stainless steel, something. So that's hard. We got two hard deals. Hard teeth, and you got hard bits for the most part. Okay? So, what are you going to do about that? Well, we get this thing dumbed down too much. The bit, a turning style bit, is not going to give you any more tongue relief than you dress the anasynaptic ledges of the upper sixes and sevens, but mostly sixes. So if you don't radius them and bring them, it depends. If you got a big fat mouthpiece on a bit, it's going to drop in under those sixes. You radius them just a little bit, you got excessive tongue pressure. What do all the racehorse people do when they have excessive tongue pressure? Anybody know? There you go. Tongue ties, yeah. Why do they tie the tongue ahead? Huh? Say what? Yeah. Well, if you have too much tongue pressure, it wads up in the base of the tongue, pushes on the palatal drape. Epiglottis is right behind it, leaning against it, pushes on the epiglottis, partially closing the airway. They want to keep the airway open, so they want to keep the tongue ahead. So if you want tongue relief, you better be dressing some upper sixes. You ain't going to be a racetrack dentist very long if you don't. You better be radiusing them pretty good. depend on the size of the snapples and what they're using, you know. Because those jockeys are up there on them reins. Why do they put that big rubber? You ever see a race rein? You know what the race reins look like? They got big wide, they're 1 inches with rubber around them, and they got freaking little knobs on it. Why do they have all that? Those freaking horses are on that bit. I mean, and you're up there balancing on those reins and your calves, you know. And them jockeys are riding on that head of that horse, that mouth, you know. They got to hold the rate in those horses, and then they got to run. Well, if you rate them and you drag that tongue back, when it comes time to run, they're out of air already. They don't have any air. Your dental cysts do the same thing on your concaves and your turbinates. That's why you want to get the caps off these horses. Get the teeth down. Sometimes these horses got to have 6 months or a year off for the teeth to get in, get the dental cysts off out of the nasal passage. Anyway, I'm probably running over here. I better hurry. This is a new spec with the clevis joints, and Deidre's got one here, and this with the ball joints. The double strap lets you angle the spec. You can tip it up or down. You bring it higher, and you can work on over jets, over bites, under jets, under bites. It's got swivel ball tooth plates. Deidre can walk it around here and show you, but some of you seen it over there in the room. But the tooth plates articulate for table angles, and you might just open it a little bit and get you Jamie to give you a hand. Jamie, give her a hand there. And, anyway, it's pretty revolutionary. It works like a scissors lift, and tooth plates articulate for wedges, typed incisors, and incisor table angles, what have you. Okay, well, questions? We probably need to do that part. How's our time going there, Mike? What am I doing? Over? Okay. Time to quit. Anyway, we run courses up there. We've got 100 to 700 level courses in Idaho. And we got a lot of skulls. We got a lot of stuff to offer. If anybody wants to come out and visit, well, you're always welcome. And those courses, we charge $200 a day for all you guys, the practitioners. If you want more information or would like to come see us, you're sure welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to visit with you. Hopefully the organization will have a look at some of this and maybe reestablish some better guidelines on incisor work. I'm not sure where they're at on that, but over the years it seems like that's a hole in the deal that needs fixed a little bit. Thank you for your attention.